time to strap in and get ready. The leaders in NRL Supercoach are incoming. Bringing you the ultimate insight to help you win your leagues and climb up the rankings. You're now listening to the Insight NRL Show with your hosts, Brain, Metrics, and Whisperer.
G'day guys, happy TLT, happy Tuesday. Hopefully TLT at 4 o'clock fell nicely for you. You're watching the Insight NRL Patreon subscriber Q&A, Josh. We're waiting on Matrix. He'll be here very soon, mate. But obviously we had our Sunday wrap up on Sunday night. How are you feeling after the dust has settled and we've seen what team lists are looking like?
I got a red arrow. I don't know how. I honestly thought I did okay. Not great, but I thought I did enough to not get a red arrow, but it wasn't too bad. I don't know. I see Supercoach, the official page, tweet TLT carnage. I'm like, is it? Half the people that weren't named we knew weren't named, but I guess it just has ramifications for Supercoach. But mate, it's not too bad. My team's in okay shape thanks to a certain Tigers winger who I thought was dead, but seems like he's fine.
Yeah, look, he might, I don't know, he might still be dead, resurrected in a week or so. I'm still not 100% confident he plays, and the last game of the round makes it very hairy for any kind of sit-start decisions I have, but
yeah.
It's better than him not being named.
Of course. He went from a trade out to now a very, very fine hold. I think I'm going to play him this week. For anyone that's not in the loop, it's not Sonny to River, it's Jarrell Skelton. I'm probably going to play him this week only due to the fact that my AEs aren't actually that bad. I have all 80-minute AEs, apart from Hamish Stewart, who's pumping out 40 points. So it's not a bad week to be an AE.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you want to rely on an AE, I guess at the start of the season, it's always a little bit dodgy relying on an AE and taking loops because you've got a lot of players, especially cheapies, that some haven't fired, some we're stuck with that, might be an AE nightmare by this time of the year, but actually don't really have any this year so far.
Yeah, I mean, my AEs personally are Robert Toya, who play 80, Tamale, who'll play 80, Shibasaki, who'll play 80, Metcalf, who'll play 80, Sandon Smith, who'll play 80. I mean, Lachlan Hutton is suspended, and it's just Hamish Stewart, who's averaging 44. So it's not the worst week to try and gamble on a skeleton, thankfully. But enough about my team, mate. We've got, goodness, plenty of questions this week to rip through.
Absolutely. And no better way to segue into the first question from Hobbsy. Would you trade Duffy to Humphries this week if you have Cleary as your halfback one? Is it a case of carrying Cleary and effectively have no flex this week? And I know that that's actually good timing for Matrix to be back on the show when he hops on. He did have basketball, so I'm sure we'll hear about that. He is potentially looking at playing without a halfback this week and just taking a bare bones 17 and sacrificing his flex, which I don't hate, to be honest. What are your thoughts on this? Duffy to Humphries seems like a bit of a no-brainer move if you didn't go Starling last week.
Yeah. If we have no I'm still in the camp. I still prefer Mamazelas over Humphries, and I will die on that hill. But I mean, yeah, it's fine. I'm just pulling up. I literally just posted my break-even post before this. We went on stream. So Jamie Humphries has a break-even of -24. So there's still definitely cash to be made. A goal-kicking halfback is always going to have an okay floor. The question is though, how long term is this Jamie Humphries thing? He was on 9 points at halftime last week, got some junk, got a try, got a couple of goals to bump him up to 70, which is great. If you own him, fantastic. But I don't know. I didn't love him as a buy last week. I don't love him this week as a buy. I just think his time as a relevant option is limited, and we've got Latrell back in 6, so we've got maybe 3 more price rises out of him. If you think that's enough,
next week.
Next week, well then even worse then.
Yeah, no, look, I'm tending to agree. We didn't go there last week because of that reason, that he loses the goal kicking to Troll when Troll comes back in round 5. And I'll probably sit on that even stronger now. And the fact that
the draw gets disgusting.
It's tough. And also the fact that Humphries got moved to the middle. He got moved to lock at about halftime last week, which is fucking weird as. Yeah, real bizarre move. But hey, you never know what Wayne Bennett's thinking. You can't ever go against Wayne Bennett. But yeah, look, I'm probably not going with Humphries now. I think that if you miss the first couple of the first price rise, I think you probably just need to cop the fact that you've missed that one. And Duffy's not going to lose you any money there at worst case. And if you're not sold or you don't have the duel, I mean, hopefully you have the Sandon Smith duel at hooker. I'd much rather get a hooker in Mamazelis or one of those guys. Even if you can get Starling still, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Starling's 433. He's got a break even of -20. I've got much more confidence in him. And if you can't afford him, I just prefer Mamazelis like as a buy over Humphreys. Long term. Yeah. I think Humphreys will score more this week, but long term, less of a headache, less 21-point games. In saying that, Humphreys also broke, you were telling me today, he broke the record for most tackles by a halfback. He had 43. Yep. I'll tell you what, bad week to be the Chad because he got 42. How do you get 42 tackles and you dudded for the record?
Tough. Yeah. Big tackle numbers from the boys.
Big tackle guy.
Yeah. I mean, he's a big body, so fair call. He can play at lock, and he wouldn't look out of place. Yeah. Lucas wants to know, is Payne Haas still a buy if you already own Tino, Big Red, and May? And the answer for me is absolutely. Get him.
Could be $1.3 million, and I probably still buy him.
Yeah, honestly, there's a question later on from Corey about who your must-haves are. I think it's very, very common for everybody to agree. I can speak for Matrix on this one that Payne Haas is a must-have this year. Just with the way that Madge is using him, it just looks like a completely different player in a side that are going to use him much more effectively and much more explosively. So yeah, I'd get Payne Haas this week, next week, however long it takes. I think I'd be prioritizing him.
I think you said it best in our WhatsApp chat, mate. Like he's revolutionizing that prop position, and I think a lot more destructive. Like I'd love to see Fitzgibbon use someone like Adam Fennell-Blake in a very similar role. Just these big, quick feet guys, just absolutely isolating halves and dominating them. But yeah, Payne Haas. I was surprised you weren't going to say Jesse Arthur's on Matrix's behalf, but I guess we'll let him.
Yeah, Matty's coming, so he can say that one. Yeah. But also, just on Payne Haas, how about he just absolutely left Drinkwater in the dust last week? Like, absolutely burnt him off a start. Like, that is just unheard of for a front row.
You were telling me that Drinkwater's a great defensive fullback 3 weeks ago.
Defensive fullback? I don't know about that.
Oh, I was ripping into him for his defense, and you were like, "Oh no, the Cowboys leave him high and dry." But no, he's very
well. They do, to be fair, still. But yeah, I don't think I'd call him a good defensive.
If I was playing fullback and Payne Haas was coming at me, I would do the Michaeli Ravalawa of just. What about that though? What about him just running back halfway to the in goal?
I still can't get. It's like obviously he lost his bearings and didn't know where the try line was, and he just kept backpedaling. It was a bad look.
That's what I'd do if I had Payne Haas coming at me. So I do understand Drinkwater.
I'd backpedal into about row 4, so I don't blame him at all. A Train, would you rather trade in Nico Hynes this week or Ryan Papenhuyzen? And why is the answer Papenhuyzen?
Yeah, it's funny. Like people, like in the Discord, I keep saying Discord. Wow, in the WhatsApp, people are saying that I'm like trying to gatekeep Nico by telling everyone not to buy him. Trust me, you don't want to pay $800K for a effectively split touches half. Like Cleary gets all the touches, so it's fine. But like, it's why I'd never pay $750K for Munster because I'm just like, well, him and Hughes are just splitting touches. I guess that's why I was never overly keen on Jerome Hughes last year. Because like I just want my massive premium half to be ball dominant, and Nico's just not. And Fitzy was like saying this week, one week one guy will shine, the next week the other guy will shine. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, sure, it's great for the Sharks because they're less predictable in attack, but like for Supercoach, I just can't recommend buying Nico. Like I've been so blessed, I've been kissed on the dick when it comes to like scores and the way that things have shaped out. And I keep saying it that Cleary should have got 140 in Vegas, and then he played the Roosters who just conceded 50. And then obviously the HIA for a 2. Like I don't think it could have got much better for me as a fader. But I don't think the answer is Nico.
Look, I haven't seen enough. As weird as this sounds for a guy who just rattled off nearly 100.5, I haven't seen enough consistently over a longer period of time for Nico to convince me that it's Nico of 2023. And I don't think we're ever going to see that again, where he's just the guy who touches the ball 50 times a game. I don't know whether that's going to happen anymore. I mean, is he still going to be good? Is he still going to average 70? Yeah, probably. But is he going to average 90 and have these, massive scores that we are used to? No, probably not. So we've got this is coming through. I had to double check this. NRL Physio just posted in regard to Storm injuries, and I'm just reading it. So NRL Physio said, worth noting in Storm's injury update video, they mentioned players who have carried injury at the back end of round 3's game. Panisi said something to the effect of some are looking good, some are looking doubtful for round 4. Unfortunately, doesn't specifically mention any names that he's talking about, but assumptively, you can probably look at Papenhuyzen and Eli Katoa
Yeah, so in that video, like I literally sent it to physio 5 minutes before we jumped on. He mentions that Nick Minnie is having surgery today, this afternoon, and they're looking at 4 to 6 weeks for him. Jerome Hughes had successful surgery 2 weeks, and then goes on to talk about players that are under injury clouds, and I don't know what to do, man. Like I don't know, and this is a conversation for tomorrow, but I'm very okay with not going with Pap. I don't think Pap's a must-have by any means. And it's like, do I just go?
No, sorry to interrupt. I agree to a certain extent. It's like we were off Pap. We're off Turbo, right? We're off Turbo going, the injury history, and we're really concerned about the injury history. And then we go and buy Ryan Papenhuyzen, who had his knee blown apart, about a year and a half ago. It's a bit of contradiction.
It's cheaper though.
That's right. There's value there. There's goal kicking, all that extra shit. Yeah, I get it. But
it sounds funny. I'm not opposed to buying Turbo this week if Papenhuyzen's cooked.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't know whether I could buy. Oh, I don't know. I don't think I could. I'd probably just go to Gutho, to be honest. I got the cash in the bank.
Bit of off topic. Daddy Skidmark. Thanks for taking down my.
Oh, sorry.
My thing. I was trying to highlight a point from Daddy Skidmark. Said Pappy ran with the rehab coach. Interesting.
Yes.
On
Good.
Yeah, nice.
That's not good. So keep an eye out.
Physio just posted again, mate.
It's in his
Had that to be Brian Senior's kids.
Yeah, it's in his Instagram channel, fucking whatever you call it thing. Now.
Elite. If you have Instagram, get in that.
So good. Yeah, it's so good. So I don't know. Does that change your answer? Trading Nico or Pappy?
It's just if Gutho was playing anyone that wasn't Melbourne or the Rooster or Penrith, then sure. And I understand that Penrith just conceded 30, but they conceded 30 to the Panthers. I'm not going to put the Dragons on the Panthers pedestal. It's just tough.
Yeah, agreed. Second Solution's got the next one for us. Should I prioritize getting Tui Pilotu or Nicholson? Answers Nicholson for me by a pretty long way. I don't know. Are you concerned as me about Tui Pilotu's tries drying up? Because you made a good point in the WhatsApp that his base isn't exactly amazing. It's low 30s as a best case.
I believe 29. From memory. He's just Jesse Arthur's on a worse team, isn't he? If we're being genuine.
Yeah. Look, I mean, he might be a little bit bigger body and more powerful than Jesse Arthur's, but I think in terms of base, they're putting up the same numbers. Yeah.
It's so funny. Hello, Matrix. This feels unnatural. There we go. I keep hearing Tua Pilotu's got this massive break even. He's going to make bulk cash. It's minus 54, and Nicholson's is minus 42, and Nicholson's 200k cheaper.
Yeah. My pick's Nicholson. Matty, welcome back. You've got your first question on the books here, mate. What are you thinking about Christian Tuipulotu for the Dragons? The question is Tuipulotu or Nicholson this week?
Actually, I was thinking of this, having not being able to watch every game over the last couple of weeks. And Josh put it into perspective for me. Tuipulotu is just Jesse Arthur's, but 200k dearer.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, probably Tuipulotu. No, Nicholson. no,
funny.
Nicholson. He's so much cheaper. 2RF seems to be the one that you can go cheap in this year. So I like it. Go, Brandon.
My thing is do you think Gutho is putting up in the first 2 weeks? He's gone 3 try assists, 1 line break, 4 line break assists in both weeks. Do you think he's averaging that every week?
Of course not.
No. He's never done that. In good Eels team.
To be fair, Gutho has been borderline top 5 fullback when Moses or Brown was out and he was the second option. Now he's the one. And the draw is really good after this, but it's he's 33, I think. There's enough data to suggest to me it's yeah.
I mean, we talk about Papenhuyzen's knees all the time. I tell you what, Gutho could probably rival him with bad knees. Just hasn't had his blown apart. So, there's risk taking all of these guys, I think, in that respect. But, I think Nicholson is the consensus pick there. Bane won it. So, Matrix, you might have missed this show last week, but he did ask us a question around the fact that why have there been so many high scores from teams over the first 3 rounds, and he's obviously seen what you've scored this week, Matty. So he apologises in advance for that question, but he wants to know who is a genuine 2RF gun right now, excluding the duels like Tino and Horse. And then I guess the second part of this question was he says that Olakau'atu probably seems like the only guy that's putting his hand up at the moment. What do you think, Matty?
Oh, I mean, like, you've still got your Hudson Youngs. I think you can still get, and I know we're talking about those duels like with Paddy Carrigan now, but he was always that sort of guy. I do think that you can just put your Hudson Youngs and your Angus Crichtons and even Britton Nickera and guys like that. They are the 2RF guns. Are they a bit mid to start the year? Yeah. Have they dropped 40K? Yeah, does it really matter? I think they're still the guns that we are going to be trying to get all this. Like, if you can work your way to go Nicholson and blokes like that up to Nickera, Hudson Young, Olakau'atu, Angus Crichton. Like, I don't know about you guys, but that's my goal. They're my guns.
Let me tell you one person you haven't mentioned there, and that's Beau Firma. I'm very keen on him. I think he could be in the conversation for, I don't know whether I'm ballsy enough to say top 5 2RF, but he's put up some really good numbers. JC's been feeding him on the left edge. Obviously, Fafita's off the bench at the moment. That might change maybe when Fafita comes back into the starting team, but I'm watching him pretty closely, Josh. Who do you see as those genuine 2RF guns?
I'm very much in the stack the pack thing. Like Tino was there, but like, let's not discount Fafita because I genuinely think we can pick him up for like 520 in like 4 weeks time. Like, it could be a Nicholson to a Fafita straight swap in like 5 weeks, which is going to be
wild.
Mental. Imagine that. But no, like, I mean, Hamole, if they're going to use him how they use him in round 1, no surprise he scored well last week with no turbo. Stats show that. But 2RFs, like we said this in the preseason, like all the 2RFs had like sort of some concerns over them. All the top end guys, like Angus had new halves. Eli Katoa had the early buy. Fafita was underdone. Hamole scores worse with turbo in the side. If roles change, and then, we can have that consensus there. Even Britton Nickera, like, I think he is definitely on fraud watch. He scored all 3 weeks and has scored 20 points more than Alex Seyfarth. Like, no, but like,
I love it.
I'm just using him because he seems to be like the beating stick of mediocrity. But like, Britton Nickera scored 3 tries this year and has scored 20 points more than Seyfarth. And it's like, yeah, I feel like that's going under the radar a little bit. So yeah, 2RFs, I'm not, and that's why I'm like looking at Hopgood and I'm like, like if you can give me between 62 and 65 points a game, I'll take it. That's why I'm sort of looking at Preston and being like, fuck, like I can maybe hold him, but
I mean, remember 2 years ago we were talking about Britton Nickera's lack of base, right? We were talking about him being super reliant on attacking stats, and he had that amazing year off the back of Nico and a lot of attack, right? But then last year his base shot through the roof, and maybe that's an outlier year. Like, maybe there's a year there where it just, his base went up due to, for some reason or another, and maybe we're regressing back to what we expect from him.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, we've scored 3 tries. I think 2 of them have been with line breaks, and we're 20 points more than I'll beat and stick Alex Seyfarth.
Is that saying something about Alex Seyfarth or something about Britton Nickera?
I just think Alex Seyfarth is him. Nah, look, I think it does rely back to what Braino was saying. Like, last year's base does seem to be like a major outlier. Like against the Storm, we had Nickera get 1 try, no line breaks for a 66. So what are we saying? 49 BP. In round 2, if my dodgy internet wants to load, against the Cowboys when they slaughtered them, Britton Nickera got 1 try, 1 line break for 61.
Yeah.
And then in round 3 last week, I definitely think he scored. I think Nico sent him over. He got 1 try, 1 line break for 58. This is Britton Nickera, who was averaging 73 or something like that last year. Like, the attack's always been there, but if the base isn't there, I do not want my 680k edge getting a try, and a line break for a 68.
Yeah, not ideal. Stack the pack with as many 2RFs you can get as middles and locks, and that could be the play this year. JP for the next one. Sorry, go,
even
Josh.
even our boy Nafahu White, like he's doing a job. Like he's averaging 62.
Absolutely.
Obviously, one outlier with a try, but like even without the try, Nafahu put up 87, take away 31, which is 56. That's fine.
Not going to complain with that. And the minutes are good. He's getting 57 minutes the last couple of weeks. I'll be interested to see what it looks like with Collins back. But let's move on to the next one. JP, interested in your pros and cons for Gutho and Tui Pelotu? We've got a lot of Tui Pelotu questions, so we'll try and answer them as a bulk. I know it's Storm this week, but then it's Para and Titans. So I guess if you're going to move on these guys, you need to move now, Matty, because the break even is monstrous, like negative 55 or something like that for both of these guys. Do you just cop the Storm matchup and grab these guys? What are the pros and cons for you with both of them?
Yeah, look, I have a bit more faith in Gutho, and I think having to move off Turbo like I did last week with growing concerns of, will he be a little bit underdone even if he does come back this week? Easier matchup, maybe they rest him and stuff a bit earlier. I'm probably a bit more confident in Gutho because he's just done it for a lot longer. But yeah, Tuipulotu, like you said, like he's gone on an absolute scoring tear. When they start to dry up, I don't think that he has the base to sustain being in our team. And if I look, like I could genuinely see in 5 weeks' time, Tuipulotu is 500k again. Maybe he hits 680 with 2 good scores in the next 3 weeks or something. But do you really have the trades to watch him go up and then just to trade him back out again? I think Gutho you can hold for a little bit longer. And I really like his role. He's getting involved early and often. I don't know. Gutho seems to be the guy, like you said, the number one option in St. George for maybe the first time in his career.
And we've seen him be the guy, but he's always been the second guy. I think honestly, he's played a bigger part for the Eels than Dylan Brown has when Mitchell Moses has been out. Moses is always the guy, but I think Gutho was the number 2 there, and Dylan Brown played a number 3 role, if I'm honest. But in saying that, he is the absolute guy now. Lachlan Ilias there and Kyle Flanagan aren't. They're going to do what Gutho needs to do on attack. So. Yeah, the pros and cons. I mean, look, we've kind of talked about it at length for both of these guys. I don't know whether there's anything more to add. I do like the the cash. I would definitely prioritize Gutho over Tui Pelotu. I'm with you, Matty. I think that the tries are going to dry up. I think the teams are going to work them out, but they're very left side dominant. A lot of their tries have been scored on the left. I think teams are just going to try and force them to score down Tyrell Sloan's wing, which she can do, but that isn't great for Supercoach then. So I feel like maybe they're going to cotton onto that. Josh, anything to add on Gutho to Pelotu?
Yeah, I was just having a look on my other screen. 28 last year in Canberra as his lowest score. Has a couple of 30s, but has maybe 5 scores of 30 or less in the last 4 years. Does average 57 against Melbourne, which has included a 10-point game where he was injured, but I think the floor's there. I think worst case he scores 35-40 if he gets no attack. My concern is the absolute outlier numbers he's putting up. I think he's had 6 try assists, 8 line break assists, and 2 line breaks in 2 weeks. Playing for I can't say significantly worse. I mean, we see his average from years gone by at 70, 75, 68, 79, 69. Obviously, big drop off last year. Parramatta sucked, so you can forgive him for that. But do we think the Dragons are much better than, say, Parramatta were last year, by miles? Maybe not. And as I said in the WhatsApp, teams are going to start to realize that, hey, if the Dragons are going to beat us, let Lachlan Ilias and Carl Flanagan beat us. Let's just jam the fucking shit out of Gutho because he's all they've got, which is my concern.
Very valid concern, I think. Yeah, for sure. Hopefully that answers your question. And then he had the question of Gutho versus Pappy. I think we've probably covered that already. But again, I'd probably hold on your decision as late as possible on Gutho versus Pappy because we need to hear a little bit more news around this ankle injury or this running with the rehab group deal that Physio's just put up.
The problem is, even if he does play this week, we don't have much. And that's why I'm okay with just playing Ayongi fullback 1 this week, getting a JC, getting I don't know, anyone else. The problem is like getting a Firm or getting a Lomax. and just waiting. Like fullback, it's so funny. Like all preseason, we were like 3 gun minimum, absolute
Minimum. Get 4 if you can.
And now we're like, hey, we're in round 4. There's a world where we just have Iongi as fullback 1 for a week.
Payne Haas flex.
Can I
Can
I just get 5 front row forwards? I've always been like a huge fan of front row forwards. I
guess the beauty is like there'll be captain's run Friday afternoon for the Storm. They will have their 24-hour cuts, and the only game that we're missing is the Rabbitohs and the Panthers. Now, no one from those guys is really jumping out at me as a replacement for Pappy's if he is a laid out. In saying that the Roosters and the Titans, the only one I guess you could go to is a JC there. And then, I mean, even maybe Tedesco if you've got the money, but he's got a pretty big break even. And then the other game is the Broncos and the Dolphins. Now, we're pretty keen on Reece Walsh as an option, barring that massive break even. But I guess the beauty of it is, we're not missing a whole lot this week when it comes to waiting on this news. I guess the question is, like, who do you pivot to? I guess if you don't have Hynes, then I probably would be okay with getting him if it all goes tits up and you don't love Gutho.
And the good thing is, you know, from a fullback perspective, we probably all have 3 fullbacks. You got Iongi, we've probably got Ponga on the bye this week, and you probably have Pappy in your flex potentially. Maybe. Anyway, I do. So I won't talk for these guys, but I do. And obviously, if you've got them in the flex, then you've got the flexibility to get in Nico if you really do need to pivot at the last minute. So yeah,
I like what you did there.
Easier.
Having the flexibility.
That was a weird flex.
Weird flex.
Yeah.
Wait, so you're saying that Tom Starling in your flex is not the play?
I never said that. I like Tom Starling. I think he's a great flex.
What about Lachlan Ilias asking for a friend?
No.
What about Isaiah Katoa asking for 2 friends?
No, hey, I love Isaiah Katoa. I bought him last week in Dream Team just because I wanted a piece of him. I think he's going to be good. Maybe he's the guy we missed this year, though, for Supercoach purposes. Sam wants to know which of the halfback hooker cheapies is the best option. I mean,
wait, are we saying like halfback hooker dual or halfback or hooker? Because there's only one.
I'd say halfback or hooker because they've got Sand and Smith in their team and they can flick trades around.
Mamazelis.
So we were talking about the fact that we were a little bit worried about the Humphreys purchase, right? Because we didn't know what was happening with the role there. Does that mean we don't know what's happening with the role of Mamazelis if Humphreys just goes back into a 14 role?
No, I think the role for Humphreys is there. I don't think that's changing. But Humphreys loses
just the goal kicking
10 points a game and more touches because Trell's back.
Yeah, fair call. That's fair.
So if I filter this by 400k or less, then I can give you an answer once Manny's done.
Mamazelis? You agree?
No, I still think it's probably Jamie Humphreys, isn't it? Like, yeah. Like, what's going to change apart from, like, he goal kicks? He's still going to score all right. He still seems to be the man on that team at the moment. Cody Walker seems to just be letting him do whatever he wants. Yeah, I don't know.
Does that change when Trell comes back next week?
Yeah, maybe. Isn't it as early? It's next week. He's back.
Round 5.
Next week. Fuck, wheels up.
Yeah, right. Honestly, I'm in a world of hurt with all of these guys. They've all disappointed me. I've missed the boat on Starling. Mate, not making a trade there for these guys, is that an option?
It's two of those guys. So it's so funny. Like everyone talks about Humphreys like he's some kind of demigod, Supercoach wise, and Mamazelis is an afterthought. Humphreys is averaging 67, Mamazelis is averaging 60.5. Like they're 6.5 points within each other, and I think that's the difference in goal kicking. But in saying that, it's those two, it's nothing. It's Humphreys at 67, it's Mamazelis at 60, and it's our boy Sandon Smith at 49. Then it's Pakes at 46. Fuck, that's boring. And then it's like Jake Simkin or Phoenix Crosland. And it's just like, it's Mamazelis or it's Humphreys now. Otherwise, it's just
the list. Yeah, the list stopped a long time ago.
Can you spend 50k extra and get Isaiah Katoa? Because he does have some genuine upside.
Yes.
Yeah. Like,
I'm going to say
if we're talking cheapies as 400Ks, you just find a way to get Katoa if you've got
Katoa or Starling.
Starling.
Katoa?
I prefer Starling.
Yeah, right. Okay, cool.
It's because Matty missed Starling, and it's a bit of copium, I think.
What do you mean? Like he's cheaper than Katoa.
Is he cheaper? Oh, fuck, that makes it easier then.
It's 30K cheaper than Katoa.
Oh yeah, sold. Okay, yeah, that's much easier. I didn't check the prices. All right, let's move on. Joe, I bought in Tino and Pappy. I had Ponga on the buy, Haas on the flex, and traded out Preston and Gilbert. Fair call so far. Do I prioritise Tui Pelotu or Nicholson?
He brought in Tino and Pappy and traded out Preston and Gilbert. Oh, nice. That's good trades.
That's good trades. Like it.
Yes.
Tui Pelotu versus Nicholson. We answered this at the start. I'd like to get Matty's thoughts because he didn't get a chance to answer this one.
Matty Nicholson's thoughts? I can try and organise that.
Yeah, because you probably have a way into his DMs, I reckon, with the amount of glazing you've done in the preseason. I'm sure he's hit you up.
You know those LeBron songs? I might start them all for Matty Nicholson.
Wouldn't blame you.
I'm excited.
Matrix, what are your thoughts?
It's Nicholson for me. So you just got to get on this cash generation, being able to spend the money elsewhere. And Tuipulotu could outscore Nicholson, but you've got 200K to spend that elsewhere, which gets you in my position, it gets me nearly a Duffy to your Starlings or to your Katoas. It's what I spend with the other money. And do I really need another 550K guy that I think will average 55 for the rest of the year? Probably.
So it's almost like what you're saving, isn't it, Matty?
Yeah, it's not about how you're spending it. It's about what you're saving it.
No, but it's the thing. It's like if you go through like all of like Supercoach, I said this before, but you go through all the forums, all the chats, all the whatever. Everyone's going to tell you, Tuipulotu has this monstrous break even that you can't miss, which is all of 8 points more than Nicholson, who is 200K cheaper.
Fair call. James,
who was also going to score 21 points if the ball doesn't go their way.
yeah, that is true. James wants to know: do you think Luai has taken a back seat in the playmaking department to Galvin, and is that why his SC points have been poor? I think absolutely it is. This is Galvin's team. This isn't Jerome Luai. Do you reckon there's been a?
It's
wrong.
It's Luai's team. It's just not Luai's team.
Do you reckon this is tactical contractually to from Luai, and they're all sitting there. Luai and Benji sitting there on a Sunday afternoon, sipping wine at Benji's house, going, "Hey man, I need you to let Galvin be the guy for a few weeks so we can re-sign him."
Wait, wouldn't you want him to not cook? Wouldn't you want him to be shit? So his market value is less because if he's really good, then that's more teams are gonna be like, "Oh, we need this guy."
Yeah, but maybe they also then would let him feel like he runs the team, right? And he'd be more inclined to continue to feel that way and sign.
But no, I also think Luai plays a very specific brand of football, which is not going to be. The more I think about it, the more I think about it, I think we got very, very wrapped up in the stats, and we're like, "Oh, it's Jerome Luai. Of course, he's going to do whatever he wants." But I think
it was a small sample size too, to be fair.
Yeah, so, I think he plays a very specific style of footy that will require more than 3 weeks worth to get gelling. And it's not like we can't see two halves thrive. Mitchell Moses, Dylan Brown both thrive. Munster, Hughes both thrive. Even Trindle and Hynes, to an extent, they still both average near 60 plus. I just think it'll take time with Luai. He could be a great buy at like 380, 400K once the team gels them a bit more.
Matrix, you're a Luai owner. Are you bailing now due to this?
Oh, I bailed last week. I bailed before the price rises. I just didn't like what I saw from a Supercoach standpoint. I think he makes the Tigers so much better. And I thought it would be conducive to Supercoach points. And I'm the first to admit I was wrong. I had to trade him out of Dream Team, had to trade him out of Fantasy, and had to trade him out of Supercoach. I was very high on Luai all preseason. So.
It's kind of funny. Like I've actually got no Tigers opinions on Supercoach because I've barely watched them play. Like how I normally watch footy. Like I've been to both Tigers home games. And I only watched them from a Supercoach perspective last week. So I've actually got no opinion on the Tigers, and I won't have any this week because I will be a couple of beers deep on the hill.
It's unlike you not to have an opinion. I'm proud of you,
mate. It's a rare thing, isn't it?
I must admit, it's fucking tough to actually see anything going on at the football unless you're in a really good spot up the top of the grandstand and you can actually see something from halfway.
Comment, great spot to watch footy. We'll say that. Comment, general admission, great spot.
Yeah.
Campbelltown on the floor, not a good spot. Good vibes.
Yeah, I felt like I was under the ground.
Great vibes.
All right, sorry, I missed Cody's question. One trade left for the week. Tino versus Munster, boys. My pick's Tino.
By the length of whatever race course you want.
By the length of his
Hair.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Good
White
reference. Yeah, good save.
Yeah.
Good save.
Don't want to get cancelled.
So what is it about Munster then? What's the no for Munster?
Just like there's similar options for the same price, like Galvin, JC for a little bit more.
Mhm.
Like for Tino's price, like what 530k either front row forward or
Demi
2 putting up, mid 60s.
Yeah, it's like Terrell May, Payne Haas, Tino. And I think you need all of them this year.
It's something special, isn't it?
It's good to watch. They're all in my team as quick as
There is a
possible.
very real possibility that I end up with AFB, Tino, Haas, and May.
Hashtag stack the pack. We've got to get shirts made this year for sure. James wants to know who's the big 3 trade targets this week, regardless of position. And also, what current NRL do you think you could beat in NRL player? I'm assuming he means. Do you think you could beat in a 100-meter race?
Genuinely,
Blake Laurie.
I don't even know if I'd beat Blake Laurie. Maybe like 6-7 years ago, when I was playing like the top of my footy game.
Mhm.
But I generally don't think after a ruptured MCL and a removed meniscus, I don't think I'm beating anyone, and that's genuine. Like even George Rose now, I probably am not beating him.
You had a bit of go about him, George Rose, as well. Who do you reckon, Matty? Let's do the sprint question first.
So I've got a really good one, right?
Keith Galloway.
Okay.
Right now, Helam Lukey.
Fuck.
Long levers on Helam Lukey, man.
He's
Fucking
got no
hell.
knee.
What about? So you have to pick
Tom
a.
Chester.
How about an active player that's lining up this week, Matrix?
Oh,
Connor Tracy after his 3 ACLs.
Yeah, good. Oh dear.
Corey Oates, round 28, round 27 last year.
Remember when Corey Oates, everyone thought he fucking had a compound break in his leg, but it was just like a small cut?
Mhm.
Everyone was like, oh my God, that's Corey Oates' career over. And then he just like jogged off after he like laid there for a bit.
It didn't look good. I don't know whether we've got cricket fans in the chat, but do you guys remember the end of season, right? It was New Zealand, Australia Test Series. It was one of Darren Lehman's final series. And they did the Darren Lehman versus, what's his fucking name? Mark Richardson. And it was the battle of the slowest players across the squad. And they did a 100-meter race. And Mark Richardson and Darren Lehman wore these long Kathy Freeman suits, New Zealand versus Australia at the end. I reckon I'd probably struggle to beat Darren Lehman, personally.
This is some real Benson and Hedges vibes. This is before my time, mate.
Yeah. Not fucking Benson and Hedges, mate. We're talking like 2005. Fuck me. Jesus. I'm only 33. Give me a break. Yeah.
Let's answer the actual question. Are we looking at when we say big trading targets, are we factoring in everything like cash, potential, price, or are we just looking at who are the 3 best guys that's going to score the most points?
No, the best 3 guys to bring in this
3 best trading options based on value.
Points.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, for
Tino.
me, Nichols 1. Maybe it's a hot take. I don't think Tino's like a must-have. Like if you have May, Haas, and AFB already, I don't think you need Tino. He's a very fucking nice trade-in, but he's not like a must-have.
No, I'm happy to plug and play Tino in my 2RF. I don't have an issue with that at all, especially with how.
If for some reason something happened tomorrow and 4 of your players were out for 6 weeks and you didn't bring Tino in, it's not the end of the world.
You can get him next week. I think you just have to pay $620, $610, whatever it ends up being.
So Cam makes a good point. A Corso Turbo after the shower.
Oh. Yeah, right.
Can you beat him? You reckon? Turbo in the shower.
I might. You know what I'd probably prefer to do? I'd prefer to verse Turbo at like 10 p.m. at night after a few vodkas, race him up the street. I reckon I could get him because I don't reckon he'd finish. Yeah. So
it definitely wasn't the shower the next morning that did the Hemi.
No, it was definitely the fucking race at night after a few beers. That's for sure. So back to the question: who's the biggest 3 trade targets? Nicholson. I think we can all agree Matty Nicholson's in the list. If you don't have Payne Haas, he's a must-have.
Are we still buying Arthurs if you didn't jump on? Minus 14 break even. He's like 470k or something.
I think purely based on the Broncos draw, Matty, I reckon I'd still buy him. You're the Broncos fan. You're the one that was touting Jesse Arthurs. We can't claim that. Would you still buy him if you missed?
I think there's still money to be made. I just think you have to, much like what we said about Tuipulotu, I think when he tops out at 550k but dare I say 600k, you just have to be prepared to move on. You just can't overdo it. We've seen it with fullbacks and wingers and that in the past. When they go on a run, you do just need to ride the peaks and troughs. And there will be times when, I don't know, they keep going that way, but there will be times that Jesse Arthurs looks like a 340k winger.
Oh, yeah.
That's what he started at. So that makes complete sense.
Brian, I know you're going to be turning over in your grave. Just want to let you know that Jesse Arthurs is more owned than Nathan Cleary.
Nathan Cleary is the most sold player this week, as far as I'm aware.
That's insane.
Just nuts. Complete nuts. But
sorry.
No one...
Also, make you turn in your grave. Garrett Shibasaki is more owned than Payne Haas.
Look, honestly, I got both of them wrong, way wrong. So that's absolutely nothing to roll over. On
it's just funny. It's just, imagine I told you, hey, Payne Haas is going to average 115 across the first 3 weeks, but Shibasaki is more owned than he is.
How good's a cheapie? I'm bringing in Nicholson, Tino, and Papenhuyzen this week. I'm still not 100% set on Pappy, if anything. The other two I'm set on. I'm not set on Pappy. It could be Gutho. Honestly, it could be a centre wing. It's my flex. I could do anything with it. It could be Jaden Campbell.
Could be Jaden Campbell. Could be Kaliero. Mate, it could be a couple. Could be if Pappy's not good, could be time just to go fucking rogue and just buy.
James, we're going to do the buy, hold, sell article tomorrow. And we'll give you a good understanding of where our heads are at with a little bit more information, mate. It's Tuesday night. We know that Wednesday night / Thursday is probably where all the news is going to come out. So stay tuned.
Here's one.
Alex,
is Iongi a buy? Is Iongi a buy? I still don't have him.
I think so. Each week, he's treading water right now. He's not doing awful. And each week he treads water is a week closer to Mitch Moses.
He's averaged 50, right? 50, and he's been bailed out by a couple of late tries, and that we understand that 100%. 69 and a 57 in there with the 25 when everything doesn't go Eels' way against the best defensive team in the competition in the West Tigers. So I guess you've got to look at that and go, look, maybe the floor is at 25, the ceiling's at about 70 at the moment for a guy who's 296K with, what's his break even at the moment? 11. And that's one big score, and that goes back into the negatives again for more cash gen. Is that cheap still? And the same as Shibasaki, really. It's like that same price point of that kind of low 200s, early 300s, where it's one try, one score, and they're back on again.
Yeah. But like I said, I think the more that we tread water, the more we pump out 50s is 1 week closer every week to when Mitch Moses comes back, which is huge.
That's what we want. Maybe Kelma Tuolangi makes a comeback when Mitch Moses comes back in the game. Probably not. Yeah. Alex wants to know, what do we do with Aaron Clark? More so for the upcoming rounds, who could we move to if we've already got Nicholson in for Goz and Gilbert out for Tino, which seems to be the...
Is Alex Matrix's alter ego? Because I feel like this is the Matrix.
It actually probably is a Matrix question.
Did you see my comment earlier?
Yeah, we started.
That was good.
But yeah, look, I'm in a very similar situation. I actually don't think Clark is a trade out. I just need to trade somebody out for Matty Nicholson, and I don't have anyone really that sucks that bad. You've got your Batemans, you've got your Seyfarths and things like that. You've got your Horses, I think you can hold Clark, and I think that he'll be perfectly fine. But I do like him as a front row forward 3 if you're playing Tino in 2RF, and then you just play him on matchup. I don't even know what a good matchup for Aaron Clark looks like, but I just think you can play him if this week I've got 3 Knights players on a bye. In a few weeks we're going to have, you're going to have Roosters players on buys, everybody like that. I think he's just playable every week.
He has done exactly what we expected.
Only problem is he has the bye next week, and Gilbert has a bye in round 13. I think Aaron Clark is just Tom Gilbert, but Māori in terms of a Supercoach stock. He does have the dual. And if you can cover for him next week, I prefer holding Aaron Clark. I think when Matty asks what's a good matchup for Aaron Clark this week, I think it's this week. Up against Terrell May, up against Final Bole, up against Alex Twal. that screams Fisher Harris, Barnett, Aaron Clark.
Yeah, Warriors doing stack the pack this week to try and stop Terrell May, I reckon.
While we're deep in May, I had a question here.
I'm selling Clark. I'm selling Seyfarth.
Yeah, and that's what I was leaning towards. They both have the same break even. I think maybe there's just a little bit more upside in Seyfarth. Is that fair to say?
Sort of said it all week. Like when we talk about Goss versus Dimitrik, like roll over player all day long for me. And the fact that Seyfarth is playing 80 and does the same amount of work with the upside, then I think I'm just going Seyfarth like over Clark. Clark's been great, and you'd love to hold him longer to let him sort of make a little bit more money. But if it's Clark or Seyfarth, I'm trading at Clark.
Yep, cool. Me too. Chase wants to know, or he needed a bit of confirmation bias. Non-Garrick owner here. Sunday was a struggle. Question is, can we fade him? The draw gets horrific after the Eels. Do I cower behind my hands for one more week, or is this Tedesco of 2024 where he hurts you if you don't own him?
One more. Just one more. You've missed the boat.
I think you can fade.
Yeah. You've missed the boat. Sorry, champ. I'm there with you.
You missed the 150. How many people are going to chase last week's points? We talk about it all the time. It's a fucking staple of the Supercoach world, chasing last week's points. And yeah, Garrick is probably going to finish the season averaging 73, 72. And that's what we expect.
I remember this quite frequently. It was a back day at the gym, had a good pump. I was feeling well. I was feeling so good, I forgot about Supercoach for like a brief moment. And I VC'd Ruben Garrick, and he scored 167, and I looped him. The world was great. Got a great gym session in. Music was good. AirPods were charged. Back pump was elite. Log into the app on Tuesday morning. Everyone buys him. He's the most bought-in player up against the hapless Parramatta Eels. They suck. He scores a 29.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to happen with Garrick.
I think Garrick's floor is lower than people think. Especially it's like at centre. I just feel like the attack isn't always going to be there. On the wing, you could probably guarantee that he's going to find a line break most weeks, especially on the wing at Manly. But in the centres, look, there was 3 line breaks. One was off a try. He did look good, but the fucking ball just hunted him all day. Is that going to happen with Turbo back? It's another hand to go through. They clearly, when Turbo was playing, they clearly went through Ola Kawatu more than they went through Garrick. I don't know. Like Garrick scored 50 and 70 or something in the first 2 weeks before he got 160.
He used Garrick as that unders crash, right, to free up Ola Kawatu. With no Turbo, it was like, I'm just gonna run wide. And yeah, I think you can fade. Like maybe it's Copian for me. I was having a brilliant week. I would have had the crown. I would have been top of the tables, and then Ruben Garrick had to fuck me over. But nah, like I think you can fade. Not comfortably, but I think you can.
I think so as well. Henko wants to know, Josh, when's the washing basket and the cat background making a return? You're obviously in a different place now, so bit of a different setup.
No, not anytime soon. Might have a different background if I can string together some winning bets on over the cap. Go listen to that, so I can buy some memorabilia. But no, it's I'm in a designated office space now, whereas before I was in my like lounge room in a nook in the wall. So no washing basket. Oh, my house still isn't packed up. But there you go. That's all you get. That's all you get. That's all
that's basket. Love it. That's what we wanted. Josh H wants to know, I want to get Pappy, Tuipulotu, Tino, and Nicholson, and I don't know who to fade. The answer is Tuipulotu for me, but it hinges on Papenhuyzen news around the injury.
Boys, I want to buy Cleary. I want to buy Haas. I want to buy May, Tino, Eero, Lomax. I want all those guys. How can I make that happen?
So Eero's the must-have. And then you just work around the rest of it, I think.
No, I think you fade to not fade to a lot too, but like I think you can go without him.
Tino's going to make money. Like sometimes getting these fucking keepers, Matty, can be enough cash gen. At Tino at 520k, like he's going to make 200k, and he's going to be a keeper.
I am shitting myself that Payne Haas, Terrell May, Tino, and Corey Horsburgh are all going to get picked for Origin, but
that's future. That's future our
problem. But it's going to be a beautiful ride.
It's going to be a good 8 weeks in the lead up to Origin.
You know what's going to happen? We're going to get to round 9. Nafahu White's just fattened up enough to sell, but we're like, fuck, probably need to hold him.
Everyone else is 860k.
Yes. Yes. All right, let's move on to Brody's question. Not sure whether to sell Yo or Preston this week to bring in Tino. Yo has a big break even, leaves more money in the bank, but Preston has a tough draw and a buy coming up. I hate selling keepers. And I probably consider Yo more of a keeper than Preston, but everyone's a little bit scared at the moment, aren't they? They're worried about the whole, first receiver stuff. Cleary was out, for the most of the game last week, so he played a very different style of game. Obviously, in round 2, he didn't exactly score that well either. What are your thoughts, Josh, on Yo, first of all, and whether we should bail on Yo? I'm probably in the hold strong camp on Yo, knowing that he will come good eventually.
Yep. So basing 40, pure basing 46 this year. Would have loved if you went to Matty to start with, but pure basing 46 this year. And if my SC stats page wants to load quicker, base 55 last year, pure base. So 9-point drop off in pure base. I'm sure there's a drop off in evade. What do we think it's down to? I don't know. Because his pure base shouldn't change, but probably losing a couple of points in runs if he's tasked with more playmaking. I don't love selling low on guns. Had this discussion with longtime follower Brent today in the WhatsApp. I think it's just unlucky. Yo is the most consistent guy. Man, I will read you his CAV. Normally we talk about really low CAVs for guys that average 50. Yo has gone 73, 69, 68 in the last 3 seasons for 22%, 18%, 20%. Set your wristwatch to it. One of the lowest CAVs. I just think you've copped probably 2 of the worst Supercoach games he's put up in 5 years.
It's hard as well because you made your bed by picking him. And I know that, you shouldn't ever get stuck on a player. If they're not performing, you have the right to move them on. But I just feel like, we've learnt this lesson so many times year on year, that a player like Ponga last year, Matrix, that started slow, you held, Josh and I bailed, he hurt us probably the most out of any player last year. Because there's history there, right? We're looking at Yo and we're looking at a 5-year sample size of him being fucking amazing in every format of Supercoach, fantasy, dream team, whatever. And now everybody wants to bail after 2 poor games. So I just feel like maybe you've got to back the pedigree of a guy like that.
I do also think that someone like Isaiah Yo, if he goes back to his average, isn't going to hurt you as badly. You guys seemed so high. And Brody was maybe in the same boat that Preston could be this guy that averaged 70 as well. Somebody like him hurts you a lot more than a Yo who probably does what it says on the tin, to use our things. You were paying high, but you were expecting high, and you've got a little bit less for a little bit. I think not having somebody like Preston could probably hurt you more than Yo, because you know what you're going to miss out on with Yo. He's not going to come out and score your hundreds. Preston could just run some ripper lines, score 2 tries and bang out a ton. I'm not sure those days are still around for Yo. I think he's just 75, right?
The thing with Yo was it's not the ceiling, but it's that you can set your watch to him every single week, getting you 72 points. And that is so valuable. We look at Terrell May. That if it all goes wrong and you're 60 points behind and you're head-to-head on Sunday, you win. That is the value. I think Yo, looking at his sort of scores broken down, 59 base in round 1, 46 base last week. Not bad. It was the very, very poor game from Penrith in round 2 where there was so much drop footy, so much stop-startness, and so much width that really killed Yo. He averaged 33 BP. So last week, people are like, oh, he did nothing. For me, his role hasn't changed. People are like, oh, he's playing more link man. I'm like, well, that's
what Locke is.
That's what he is. That's what he's done for 5 years. Nothing for me has changed. I get it. And this week is probably also going to be a frustrating hold because no Cleary. But I'm very inclined to just trust the data, back my guys in. And like I said, I've been burnt many a times trying to play gun roulette, especially if they're underperforming and it going tits up. I don't think it's going to blow up my face with Isaiah Yo. But if he pumps out 81 this week, I'm not shocked.
Yep. No, I agree. I agree with that.
think
Boys, this one.
Sorry, I think I said to Brent last week in the WhatsApp, 41 was Isaiah Yo's worst 80-minute score in 4.5 years.
I think we're going to see a regression. A progression back to the mean for Isaiah. Yeah, for sure. So Corey's asked us, for a bit of fun, who do you each think is going to be the biggest must-have for the season? And if you have really big balls, biggest pod play that you'd like to do but probably won't. I can probably. I mean, look, the must-haves are obvious at this point of the season. I think it's those fullback guns. But Payne Haas probably sits at the top of the list. If you don't have Payne, you're going to be in pain for the rest of the season. I think. Boys, I'll throw to you. Who do you think the biggest must-have is going to be for the season? Go, Josh. You go first.
Keilero.
Okay.
In terms of his position.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the obvious is Payne Haas. The obvious is Cleary. That's boring. Keilero. But then in terms of pod play, I'm filthy because my pod play was Christian Tuipulotu. Posted it all through the WhatsApp. And I was a coward and didn't do it myself.
Yeah. Tough. Matty, what do you think?
Look, I think it could be somebody like a Fletcher Sharp or someone. I think that I've really liked what I've seen running the ball. Like, there hasn't been a lot of play in the halves. It's just Fletcher Sharp and outside of last game, which was obviously shit, but Fletcher Sharp still scored like 55 or something, averaging 73. Like, he could just be one of those guys that you could have slotted in center wing that a lot of people just let go. He's only 11% owned. I've got him in my team. I just do think that he could, I think he could be an 800k guy at the end of the year, like a Keanu Kinney or somebody like that, and everyone's gone, oh, Kinney's good every week, and we just go, oh, geez, I'm enjoying watching Fletcher Sharp play, but nobody owns him. Like, I just think that Fletcher Sharp is somebody like that. Knights seem to go under the radar outside of Kalen Ponga. Yeah, I just think that he could be must-have, and also at 11% owned, borderlining a pod play.
There is a guy averaging more than 70 who's less than 1% owned. It's a center wing. I'll give you a guess. One guess each.
Center wing under 1% owned.
Averaging more than 70.
Is it Alamotti?
No.
No, Alamotti is in my list of pods, if that counts. As a guy, he is 3%. Alamotti
It's friend of the show, Aman Saxana, Daniel Tupu.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right.
I mean, seems like they're going away from Dom Young. Not away, but like Toops is like they've had some pretty tough matchups.
He's always going to be good, isn't he? He's just that reliable guy that he's got good base, he's got good carry out of his own end. I don't hate it. Roosters playing all three major buys is going to be really tasty as well through that period of time. He could be a really good pickup through Origin period, I reckon. And that includes a 25 against the Broncos that just thump them. So he's gone 25, 119, 68. Don't hate it.
You do worse.
Good pickup.
You want a 1%.
It's a very good pickup. Must-haves are obvious. My pod play, I've got a couple. I've got Jaden Campbell, who is currently 4.3% owned. 1.3 have bought him so far this week. That's going to skyrocket, I think, pretty quickly. And next week, he is on my radar as probably one of my top purchase players, Jaden Campbell.
700k. Fuck.
Yeah, I don't care. I reckon he could average 75 or north of 75 this season.
We can never. How we had up to 8 Tigers in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
What's one more? What's
Sanea Taruva?
What's wrong with Sanea Taruva?
Yes,
genuinely averaging 75 across 3 games, owned by 2% of people.
I'm on board. I like Taruva. I think he's a great shout. I also think about the forgotten man, right? The man that we were so high on through the preseason. The man that unfortunately ended up with a little bit of a hamstring injury and has spent some time off the field. And that is everyone that's forgotten about Latrell Mitchell, who is due back next week, and how high we were on Latrell Mitchell. And it just feels like, you know what it feels like, Matty? It feels like 2022. You know, when Latrell came back from a long injury layoff, people held off because they were a little bit concerned about his injury history and they were worried about the fact he was going to start slow, and he averaged like 103 over the next 2 months. Anyone who had Latrell ended up winning the comp. or winning their head-to-head. That's how differential he was, I think, at that period. I don't know, man. Like, there's something about Latrell. Even with the fucking hard draw, people are going to stay away. I reckon he could be a guy you could jump on.
Latrell fit. We're back.
Listen to
Next
this. He misses. So he missed the Sharks and misses the Panthers, and then presumably comes back to play the Roosters, the Cowboys, the Dogs, the Storm, the Knights, the Broncos, the Tigers, the Wars. Like,
wheels up for Latrell fit.
Stop it.
Nah,
Legit. Next week, we could be talking and getting a bit silly, and I could be using my third boost back to back to getting Latrell fit. Yeah,
you got to do it sight unseen though. If you want to do it, you got to do it sight unseen. You can't wait.
Yeah,
you got to do it fresh off the bat. Rip it off like a band-aid.
Yeah, 100%. I'm in agreement with that. But I like Paul Alamotti.
I'm not even taking the piss. Like, if he wasn't, I generally would have put money on him to win the Dally M if there was markets for that before his hammy. Like, you were still throbbing for Latrell Mitten. You
were talking a lot about Latrell getting Dally M. So, I can vouch for that. But, yeah, next week could be the week. Anyway, that was fun. Lachlan's got this one. Is Gilbert on the chopping block if there's no other fires to put out? I'd say yeah. I mean, he hasn't been bad, but...
Shit the Woods, Pope Catholic. What else? What other things can we use?
I think Gilbert can be on the chopping block. I don't think we need to buy into or dive into this one too analytically. I think, he's
so boring.
He's regressed back to what we probably expected him to get, anywhere between 48 to 55. And that's fine,
He is 2024 Morgan Smithies.
Let's not get carried away. Jesus. I don't know whether anyone's at that level. Matrix Lewis wants to know, is De Groot a buy after being named at fullback for the Titans? He's got a few questions here. Is Walsh a sell and is Campbell a buy? Rapid fire. Go on.
Is De Groot a buy? No. I think if he shits the bed, they just slot AJ back there. I'm sure there's another halfback. They've got about 42 of them in their top 30. Is Walsh a sell? No, I am not trading anybody playing the Dolphins, especially if they're standing at the back, no matter how head-nicked the man has looked in the last few games. And Jaden Campbell is a buy if you can come up to that hefty price tag of $700K. Sometimes it's not what you save, it's what you spend, and that is the Jaden Campbell. I tell you what, that is everything going on at Queensland if you count Tom Gilbert's selling as well. Fucking, you've just listened to the Curia Mail, Pete Bedell right here, champion.
Right. I was keen on De Groot for about 7 minutes when physio was like, he's keen seeing a specialist. That's not good. And then about an hour later, he was like, no, the Titans reckon he's fine.
Jokes. It's all good.
Because like I in our fantasy chat, I was all on the Groot train. But
there were many gifs of Groot in that chat.
As somebody that has actually seen De Groot play in the preseason,
he's good.
I wasn't impressed.
He's a goer.
He's a footballer, that kid.
He's like a short Iongi.
He's a poor man's Tristan Saylor.
Yeah, basically. Thank you.
He's available at centre wing. He's $232K. I mean, if what's his name? Keeney. If he's seriously in doubt, then like for like a lengthy period of time, then of course. Reece Walsh, no. Like he's almost a buy. Just so crazy.
Wild. Yeah, we'll talk about that more tomorrow. That's for sure. In buy, hold, sell, he will definitely feature.
Jaden Campbell.
Jaden Campbell.
In a perfect world, you have $200K in the bank and you wait a week for Metcalf to score 40 to get him like a $30K price rise, and then
40 in the second half.
Yeah. And Jaden Campbell to score 12. And then we can just do a straight swap. I'm waiting a week.
I'd enjoy that. I'd enjoy that, but I think I'm fine with going now. I think he won't let you down. Jono wants to know Clark versus Preston. Who goes for Tino? My answer is Clark every day of the week if you can hold Preston. But there's a caveat to this. Preston out says that he can turn to any 5.8 gun next week. But if he goes with Clark out, he doesn't have the funds. So that means like maybe going to JC next week versus
I feel like that's a bit of a hyperbole. 5.8 gun. Is it really a thing?
5.8 okay player.
5.8 like above average Supercoach option.
Yeah.
It's not like a gun, it's like a water pistol.
Yeah. I think it's the ammunition for the gun.
Yeah.
Like,
could be.
It can be damaging if you pair it with the right thing, but on its own, it's a bit,
And it's not a pissy water pistol, like not one of the weak ones. Like you get a super soaker, like it's not terrible.
It's like the battery powered ones that like actually full on like shoot rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of those ones. Yeah,
I'm here for that.
But
To answer your question, I think
any 5.8's good. Yeah, I don't think any 5.8's good enough to be like, I'm going to give up on Preston.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
Haggy, last one for tonight. Is JC more of a season-long keeper than Gutho and Tui Pilotu, and why is the answer yes?
It's you, Brandon. Go.
Is the 5.81 a fullback? Is the 5.81 a season keeper compared to a guy who's averaged 52 his whole career and Gutho with one leg?
I'm super high on Jaden Campbell, so maybe the answer's bias this year, but he hurt me too much last year for me not to be high on him. I think, honestly, he could average 75 plus this year. Like, it just, when you look at the structure.
Remember last year, we were so off the guy.
Yeah, it's hard because when you look at last year, they still had Kieran Foran floating around, and he was the guy that fucking got them around the park. Now, this is Jaden Campbell's team. This is not AJ Brimson's team. This is not Keanu Keeney's team. This is not David Fafita's team. Yeah, Tino is the leader of the team and leader of the pack, but fuck me, the amount of balls, the amount of ball that JC got the last couple of weeks, it's very, very clear who runs this team and who runs this attack, and it's him. So I think the floor is going to be pretty high. The goal kicking's nice. The attacking upside is monstrous, as we saw on the weekend. I reckon you could do a lot worse than get JC. He is number one target for me next week. I'm just going to hold off because he's got a 60-odd break even.
He's better than
anything to
these two guys. Yeah, he's better than those two guys. Correct.
By a fairly long way. It's just the cash gen versus long-term points is what you're looking at there.
All right, so 12 runs for JC last week. Interesting stat, though. Bruno had 9 more passes.
So he's doing nothing with it when he gets it. Is that the message?
Shout out to Bruno with the 61% tackle efficiency.
Cute.
Well, we know that JC probably... I mean, look, JC used to be a really defensive liability, didn't he, when he was defending at 5'8"?
85% tackle efficiency. Not great, not bad.
A couple of years ago, though, when they trialled him at 5'8" there for a little bit before he went back to halfback, I remember Olakau'atu steamrolling the fuck out of him on their line one year, and it was like, okay, cool, I'm going to bet on any edge back rower that is running at Jaden Campbell this week. That seems to have changed, thankfully.
Bruno had 16 tackles, 7 misses.
Yeah.
If he was at the Cowboys, he'd be sent back to the Mackay Cutters as fast as possible.
Yeah, back to Cup, mate. We've got a couple of quick ones in the live chat as well. Thoughts from Billy Fletcher, thoughts on Renault to replace Cleary? No, don't do that.
No. I think I briefly remember making my team of the week posts like last year. And I feel like Reynolds was like halfback 1 for like a good month and then it just fell apart. I'm trying to find his stats really quickly because I'm confident he started. So last year, I'm talking shit. He went 48, 45, 83. But maybe it was the year before. But I feel like he always does this. But nah, I can't. Like I know these stats performing well, but I can't take a half in a 3-headed dragon of Hunt, Reynolds, and Walsh.
Last year it was, we were looking at Renault and going, "Oh, he could be a buy this week." And I remember saying on the podcast last year, like Renault could be a massive pod play this week, and he ended up getting like 21 or something. And he can do that when the Broncos get beaten. So Broncos had a pretty ordinary year last year. Next one, Lachlan Patterson wants to know: Ricky loves Hosking, talking about him being the best buy of the year last year. Does Nicholson really hold that spot over him? And I think we need to look at the week before last where Hosking moved to the 13, a role he's never played before in the NRL, to facilitate Matty Nicholson coming in on the right edge.
Random nobody from Warrington who no one's ever heard of or seen before. I think that tells me enough.
Up the Wolves.
Hello, Governor.
Big Super League guy.
We'll leave that.
I think people forget that. They're like, oh, well, Nicholson's only starting because of Hosking. Oh, no.
Jacob Devine wants to know draft pick, Jack Williams or Seyfarth. I put up my waiver ads for round 4 and Alex Seyfarth is very, very far up the top of the list.
Jack Williams was not in that post.
He wasn't in that post. Seyfarth was, though. He is only 27% rostered across all draft leagues at the moment.
It just shows you the people that we play draft with because, I tried to get Aui Leotawa late in the draft, went the 7th round. Tried to get Seyfarth late, gone. I saw Jarrell Skelton was 13% rostered in round 1. I was like, who am I playing? Am I playing draft with just a bunch of sickos that It's just crazy.
We're playing draft with people that also watch our podcast, which is really bad for us. But great for them. Safe Arth is the pick.
Guy when your guy is everyone else's guy as well.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Safe Arth is running at Kurt Capewell's edge this week, which if that tells you anything, you need to jump on now. Glenn has the question, what price do you think Angus Crichton will drop to, and when do you think that he hits that point? How long are we giving it?
The problem is, like, he's going to get some attack eventually, isn't he? Like, it's all well and good to be like, oh, he's averaging 55, so he'll be like 570k in 6 weeks' time. But like, he just will have a 90-point game, which will stifle the cash drop. I will buy Angus at like 610.
The problem is, when he hits that 610, Matty, it feels like he's going to be fucking 2 weeks away from Origin. Like, it feels like the timing's going to be so off that I'm not going to own Angus until like after Origin's finished.
He hasn't been bad enough to drop too bad, but he hasn't been good enough. Like, his halves probably haven't got him the ball well enough for him to score that well. Yeah, look, I mean, what price do I think Angus will drop to? That's not really the point, and I think it's probably 620. I think it's like when
Sam
Walker or somebody like that comes in, that's when I'll look at Angus, regardless of the price. So,
yeah, agreed. I agree with that. Last one from Phil. Speaking of Brimson, is he a hold considering what's happening with Keeney at the moment?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think this is the Gutho syndrome, of the Gutho Parramatta Eel syndrome. Like, one playmaker out, we move up in the depth chart, we get more touches.
Yeah.
I don't think in the film session Des is going to be like, all right, Jaden de Groot, we're playing through you, buddy.
Yeah.
If we're going to win, it's all down to you.
You know what? I think there is every fucking real chance that Brimson might even play fullback this week.
I think there's every chance that Des could do that, which is also
maybe. Also, yeah, 100%. But I think that there is every chance de Groot doesn't end up starting at fullback this week and we see a late shuffle. So worth keeping an eye out. Simon, long-term friend of the show, was ripping on you, Matrix. I know he's a good mate of yours, about the fact that we're actually getting some good value when you were gone. I don't know about that. I think we've been a little bit more boring on the show since you've been gone, so it's good to have you back. But when are we getting on Ronaldo Mulatalo this year? Simon wants to know.
Have you actually seen he's going great this year?
He was good last week.
I was on the phone to Simon on the way home, and he made some money last week. He's still like 700k. But yeah, look, Ronnie Mulatalo, there is a time, like, you're talking about paying up for JC. We should maybe be paying up for Ronnie, I reckon.
It feels like that.
28.77, Hundo and 9. I'm upset that you're not wearing the shirt after a 100-point performance.
No, the shirt only comes out. Trust me, the shirt only comes out when Ronnie earns it. And I haven't seen enough from Ronnie just yet. Give him if he gives 3 weeks back to back of good scores above 60, I will guarantee that I'll wear the Ronnie shirt. And you know the best part about the Ronnie shirt, boys? It actually moved into my house before I did last year. So Simon sent me the Ronaldo Mulatalo shirt, and it was sitting on the balcony of my new house, even when the previous owners were still living in that house. It was sitting on the balcony of the house as I moved in. So it was there before me. So shout out to Simon. Appreciate the shirt. It still sits at the top of my drawer, and I look at it every time I go and get another shirt out because I'm probably not going to wear it in public. So shout out to you.
Was it you? Was that like something from someone? Did Simon custom make it?
No. He bought it.
No, it was on the Shark store, but like,
right,
yeah, Shark store.
If we're custom making shirts, I will pay Simon a pretty premium to get me like an oversized, vintage looking Matty Nicholson style shirt, like a Culture King style shirt.
Yes, yeah, Simon, and to be fair, most people probably won't want to spend money on a good shirt if they're going to send it to someone like us.
And Simon only knew your address because you were saying you bought a new place and sent me the address, sent me the realestate.com to show me the house. So I've sent the address to Simon so that he could send the Ronaldo Mulatalo shirt to your house before you moved in.
That's it. Be careful of those fucking cyber stalkers, guys, because anything can get out these days. Anything. Guys, I think that's going to do us. We've been going for an hour 15 for a Q&A.
I love that. I love that I told you this afternoon, hey, I'm really tired. Can we get this under an hour? And Brandon was like, yeah, easily. And then we just.
And you know what? Yeah, because you don't fucking shut up. You've been fucking going for an hour 15 straight. So anyway, I'm not taking the blame for that at all. I think we've all got to wear that.
Tomorrow being like, fuck, I'm tired.
It's going to be that falls on all of us, I think. But no, we've had fun. Thanks for jumping on, guys. Thanks for joining the Q&A. If you're watching this on delay and you want your questions answered before each round, you can become a Patreon subscriber for less than $10 a month. Just make sure you sign up on PC and not Apple, because Apple's a rort. But thanks for watching, guys. Hit subscribe and like if you like the content. We'll be back for the round 4 preview, buy, hold, sell, captains, and everything else tomorrow night at 8:30. So we'll catch you then.
Cheerio.